What constitutes a supervolcano? Do you know? Because we don't. I'm Kevin Leeson.
Can Tommy Lee Jones make a volcano boring? Find out today. I'm Joe Fulgen.
Tonight in the Labadome, Fumarole versus Blowdown. Who's got the most ejecta? Find out tonight. I'm Toren Atkinson. It's time for Caustic Soda, the podcast.
Take me to the volcano!
Everyone loves volcanoes. Remember that TV series?
Come on, I gotta explode!
Before we get into the volcanoes, though, I'd like to do a follow-up.
Fantastic.
Okay.
We love follow-ups.
For
viewer mail.
Radiation. This one is not viewer mail.
Oh.
This is something I wanted to talk about, but totally forgot about. Have you guys heard about the design for a waste isolation plant in Carlsbad, New Mexico?
No.
There's this architect who was a team of specialists who was hired by the federal government, the U.S. government.
The architect was a team?
He was part of a team.
Okay. I thought he might have been radiated and
He's
merged.
a one-man team.
Like several people merged into one being with a multiple consciousness.
But he wrote a paper after this happened, and I'll read just the intro from this paper. In the next several years, the United States Department of Energy will bury some 500,000 barrels of radioactive waste, a third of a mile beneath New Mexico's shifting sand desert in a thick salt formation. The waste will remain dangerous for 10,000 years. The Department of Energy wants to make a permanent warning at this burial site to help prevent inadvertent release of radioactivity into our descendants' food chain, water supply, and air. The warning must endure, be found, and be understood. So 10,000 years from now,
We have to make sure that whoever finds
Right.
it...
you know, they're not going to be speaking English, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At least not any English we would recognize.
there are-
They
yeah.
may call it English.
Yeah.
I want to
They'll
know...
call it English.
I want to know what kind of barrel they have that they think is going to last 10,000
Well,
years.
that's the thing.
With
The
the-
barrels won't last 10,000 years, but the radioactivity will.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So they've got some sort of caustic radioactive material in a barrel that can't conceivably last 10,000 years, but the warning will last.
Yeah. Well, that's
Hopefully
the
10,000
challenge.
years.
And no structures that exist today have existed 10,000 years ago
Yeah.
as well.
Have we been building structures for 10,000 years, though?
Well, what are the pyramids? The pyramids are like 5,000 years or something like that.
And also,
right?
we're pretty good at building tough things these days. What do you,
Well, I think this,
well, what's the alternative?
this should just be a... I think
Let's
this is
just
a...
dump him in the river.
So this is just a things that make
So-
you go, moment, maybe.
Well, so his paper goes on, and you can read this online. It's called An Architecture of Peril, and it's by Michael Brill.
It sounds like a bad thriller. Architecture Apparel.
And he wrote this
by
in
Dan Brown.
1993. And it kind of goes through the 7 test designs. I'll read off the designs. Landscape of Thorns, Menacing Earthworks, Black Hole, Spikes Bursting Through Grid, Rubble Landscape, Forbidding Blocks, and Spike Field. This is a picture of the spike field, which we should put
and
up.
this is we're supposed to warn people about the
This
radioactive...
is, yeah. I'll describe this. It's like you can see little people on the monument, if you want to use that word.
The radioactive
And there's-
monument.
Yeah, and there's giant spikes jutting out of the land at odd
Giant, like,
angles.
5-story tall spikes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the warning sign?
And
Yes.
that's one of the proposed warnings. But I'm looking at all these pictures and I think this is like modern art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, come on over here, check this out.
If
Exactly.
if
You may
there's
bring-
a society of goths living 10,000 years from now,
They may be
they're gonna hang out
attracted to the
there
site,
and
yeah.
smoke and
and begin to glow a light blue.
yeah, exactly.
I
So
always-
I mean,
I
you
always
can imagine
feel-
the challenge that these guys have to figure out. What can you put there that's going to last and that's going to say, "Don't come here," don't dig.
Yeah.
Right?
Walk away.
Yeah, just walk away. Leave the radiation.
I think the glowing sand will probably help. That'll be a major assistance.
You could put just a giant pile of dead bodies, but then they'd rot.
Yeah, that's not going to last 10,000 years.
A follow-up on radiation. Well, thank you very much, Toren. On to volcanoes. Anyone want to talk about the origins of the word?
Oh, in fact, I do. But let me first show the pinup.
What is... Oh, it's a dog frozen in the Pompeii disaster.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful.
He doesn't have a name that I know of, but there's an exhibit, Pompeii Stories from an Eruption, the Chicago Field Museum, and this is a cast of the sheer agony of the dogs that was chained up in the House of Orpheus, in fact. He's all twisted, and we'll put that up on the website, CausticSodaPodcast.com.
Yeah, no, I think it, speaks to the immediate nature of the eruption, right? Everybody was caught mid whatever they were doing.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I have heard how the people died. Most of them died at Pompeii. Like what it was that actually killed them. Wasn't the explosion, wasn't heat, wasn't being buried in lava.
It was the smoke.
Was it the pyroclastic flow?
What it was is when a volcano erupts, most of the lava forms little bubbles, much like if you've seen the Mentos and Diet Coke thing,
Yes.
where it all...
Yeah.
Well, that's what lava's like.
Right.
It shoots up and it's all bubbly, but of course...
Yeah, it's full of gas.
Right, it's full of gas, and then it hits the air, and it solidifies into these little tiny spheres, which then shatter into tiny, tiny little razor-sharp pieces of glass, which you then inhale, and it tears your lungs apart from the inside, and you drown in your own blood.
Oh, nice.
Volcanoes.
Wow.
Lots of fun.
Certainly worthy of a Caustic Soda podcast just by method of death.
Now, obviously, the word origin comes from Volcanus, Vulcan, the Roman god of fire.
Yeah, and his forges were inside of those volcanoes themselves, right? That's what he used to forge the weapons of the gods and the armors of the gods.
All those things. Also
Yeah.
known as Hephaestus if you're
If you're Greek.
Greek. The phobia for volcanoes are, as far as I could find, there wasn't a lot on this, Hephaestophobia. Ifestio. Phobia.
That must be like
Hephaestophobia.
a Hephaestus derivative.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So, volcano pop quiz. You guys ready?
Oh, I'm dying.
All right.
Born ready.
Define the following. Fumarole.
Fumarole.
Joe.
Oh, that's a monster from Dungeons & Dragons.
Kevin.
That is what happens when someone farts upwind from you.
Close. It's a vent that releases volcanic gases, including water vapor. Next one.
Lava dome.
I bet you the fumarole has kind of a sulfuric sort of rotten egg kind of aroma.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, much closer than we all, you gave me credit for.
Lava dome?
Lava dome, I think I'm going to go with the obvious. It's a dome made of lava, probably from building up of gases underneath it.
It's the home of a professional sports franchise in Pompeii.
A steep-sided mount that forms when very viscous lava is extruded from a volcanic vent.
Tonight only at the Lava Dome.
Yeah,
Lava
exactly.
dome.
Watch Spartacus take down Crixus.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Pillow lava.
Pillow lava.
Pillow lava.
Oh, I know this one from the South Park song.
There's what?
Yeah, Hot Lava
Hot
by
Lava.
Perry Farrell
And
on
baby,
the South
every
Park
time we
Oh, I
soundtrack.
haven't seen that
Hot
one.
lava.
Okay, pillow lava. Nobody knows? Give up?
I can't remember.
He talks
I'm
about
trying to remember.
a subaqueous layer or something like that. Is that from the song? That's from the song that.
No, I understand.
Yeah, okay. Is it right?
I just have no reaction to that.
Is it right?
No, fluid lava erupted or flowing underwater. So basically-
Subaqueous.
Subaqueous.
Subaqueous. Oh, subaqueous.
Oh, he mispronounced it slightly.
Well,
in the
I don't know.
song.
Maybe I'm mispronouncing it now.
Yeah, but Perry Farrell hit the nail on the head
Subaqueous.
in his song
Oh,
Hot
okay.
Lava.
All right. Thank you, South Park, for educating us all.
We'll have to play that.
Blowdown.
Blowdown. My head is about to explode. There are too many jokes in a very short amount of time.
Joe, what do you got?
That's the adult entertainment, the Lava Dome.
Blowdown segment. Trees felled by a volcanic blast.
Oh.
And finally,
That is exactly how it sounds. That makes perfect
Blowdown,
sense.
yeah.
That's practically an onomatopoeia.
ejecta.
That's the rocks being thrown in the air.
Spune.
Yeah.
Being
Any
spewed.
material is thrown out by a volcano, including pyroclastic material, a.k.a. tephra, and lava bombs.
Tephra would be
Lava bombs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that, you know what? I think I drank that in a bar just the other night. I think I had a
Another
lava
extreme
bomb.
energy drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lava bomb.
Tasty burns a little on the way down, though.
So we don't need to explain to everyone how plate tectonics works and what the difference between magma and lava is, do we?
I hope not.
I would like to hear the difference between magma and lava, because I do remember from that movie where they basically said they're the same thing.
Well, magma's underground and lava's when it's not underground anymore.
It's a lava
You can
leads
have
to
a lava flow,
bombs.
but you would have a magma chamber underneath the.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, that's pretty simple. It's the exact same thing, though.
So it's like
magma
meteor,
and lava.
meteorite, meteoroid. It's
Yeah.
all where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before with the soda pop, that's basically how a volcano works. The gas builds up until there's such pressure that it explodes like a shaken can of Coke.
So, anybody have any volcano stories in the news? Anything going on
yeah.
around the volcano world right now? or-
Oh,
Well, not exactly this world.
Oh, you've got otherworldly...
Otherworldly volcano news.
Okay.
Well, it's been thought for a while, apparently, that Venus has had no active volcanoes, but it appears that is not true.
Yeah, I read
so
some of
far.
that as well.
Yeah, right. Infrared evidence of lava flows on Venus in 3 volcanic hotspots, and that they were between a few hundred years and 2.5 million years old. So they're not sure if it's currently active, but that's fairly recently geologically.
The most volcanic activity in the solar system? Who knows?
Oh, I want to say Mercury, but I think that's going to be wrong.
It's going to be Io.
Io, one of the moons of Jupiter, right?
Yes, and in fact, it has what they call cryovolcanoes.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of cryovolcanoes?
Time traveling?
No, that's chronovolcanoes.
Oh, sorry.
That's totally different. The cryovolcanoes form on icy moons, and they shoot out low temperature. Instead of molten rock, they erupt volatiles such as like water and ammonia and methane and stuff like that.
Like a water volcano?
Which is collectively referred to as cryomagma.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Because if you think about it, if the average temperature is usually where water is going to be solid, then where it gets pressurized underneath the surface, it will, just like pressurized rock,
So
it's going to become liquid, and then it's going to shoot up, and then it's going to do just what lava does up here and solidify.
And then when it gets high enough up, it freezes again into solid, and it comes down as big chunks of. On Io, the plumes will rise as much as 500 kilometers into space, and they're so large they can be seen from Earth by the Hubble Space Telescope.
Wow.
But Hubble Space Telescope can see anything, so that's not really that impressive.
Oh, if only that were true. I can't see my love for it.
Can't it though? Can't it? One day maybe they'll build a telescope that can. They can
see
the lovoscope.
It's the largest volcano on Earth. Who knows?
A Mauna Loa.
You are correct, sir.
Woohoo!
The scientists think it has been erupting for about 700,000 years.
Wow.
Although it emerged from the surface of the ocean 400,000
Well,
years.
now, but hold on, isn't Kilauea on Hawaii has been the longest currently erupting volcano?
Are you saying Mauna Loa is no longer erupting?
Well, no, but an uninterrupted eruption.
Oh.
I think Kilauea has been erupting nonstop since the 80s.
The Coon's Age?
Yeah, since the 80s. It's been one constant eruption.
Okay.
That
All right.
and it holds the record for the longest single current eruption. I think I read that the other day when I was trying to come to the table as prepared as you guys.
Yeah, I was up till 2:30.
Yeah, you're crushing me. You're crushing me on the research scale.
And then my cat kept waking me up licking plastic bags in the middle of the night. So, largest volcano in the solar system?
I do not know. Is it on Io?
No.
Mars?
Yes.
I don't know.
Also the largest mountain in the solar system?
Olympus Mons?
Yes, correct.
Wow.
You win the Caustic
And bringing
Soda
the whole
award.
Greek god thing full circle with the old Olympus.
I was total guess. I didn't even know Olympus Mons was a volcano.
Oh, well, it is.
Okay, that's fascinating.
That's interesting. Now, is it a dormant volcano or is
Yes.
it active? Yeah, okay. There's 3 stages of volcano, right? There's active, there's dormant, and there's extinct. Isn't that's the way it works?
That seems logical to me.
That's dormant. It could extinct. It's over. It's done with. Forget it. Its time has passed. Dormant is it's not exploding right now, but it gets explode any minute.
Right. Extinct as it once was a volcano.
Basically, a
but
dormant
now-
volcano is like I was when I was making out with a girl when I was 16.
Okay.
And the active volcano is.
You didn't know what you were doing?
I didn't know what we were doing, and I could explode.
Where is this going?
And I could explode any minute.
Confused.
And then the active volcano, of course, is
Is
going
lava going to come out of me somewhere? Is there going to be ejecta?
I definitely
Will
had
there be a lava dome?
a subaqueous layer. So I think those are the 3 types of volcanoes. So Olympus Mons, is it extinct or dormant? Do you have any idea?
I'm going to say extinct,
All right.
but only Google knows for sure.
That's a pure guesswork.
Yeah.
I guess I just played the Stump Toren game, and
You
1
might-
point
you may
for
have done
me.
it, yeah.
1 point for me. Well,
Can we talk about pyroclastic flow?
I don't know what that is.
Well, I'll tell you.
Inform me, please.
Well, pyroclastic is Greek for fire and broken. This is the superheated avalanche of gas and rock which travels away from the volcano.
Well, okay.
Basically, yeah, it's like a big avalanche of superheated rock.
Ash and rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that Mount St. Helens. That was a kind of an impressive explosion. That was it didn't, and I don't have it in front of me, but it like basically blew its top off. Like a big chunk of Mount St.
Yeah.
Helens was
Yeah.
ejected into the air.
Yeah.
Like the mountain was
Came
shorter.
down as ash.
The mountain was shorter after the whole thing was over.
Yeah. There's before and after pictures, which maybe we'll put up on the website, showing how much it changed after that one explosion.
Well, like we all grew up in British Columbia. Does anybody have any anecdotal stories from the Mount St. Helens explosion?
I don't remember much, except when I was younger, I really wanted some of the ash from it, and I know that people were making lots of money just scooping up ash and then selling it around
kind
the
of
world.
Vague.
But I never did get any, and
who
I just
cares?
remember getting really interested in the science of it back then. But it soon waned when girls were around.
I remember.
That Mount St. Helens couldn't hold a candle to Helen. She was no saint.
Or her,
She had mounts.
or her mountains. Yeah.
Well, I remember. I mean, I do have like a vague recollection of ash falling on Campbell River, my hometown where I grew up.
Yeah.
Campbell River, if anybody is aware, is on Vancouver Island, which is quite the distance from where Mount St. Helens
It's
is
not
located.
like crazy distance, though.
It's hundreds of kilometers.
Yeah.
And then multiple,
But, compared
like 500-600
to
kilometers.
volcanoes in history, Mount St. Helens is like a...
Absolutely. But I do remember. I remember going to school and having everything covered in this thin layer of
powder.
this fine powder, and I thought it was odd because snow doesn't typically fall, and it didn't look like snow because it was dirty. I wasn't entirely aware of the whole Mount St. Helens thing until days later.
Right.
That what had actually happened and what all that stuff was. Right.
You thought it was the end of the world.
No, I thought it was weird looking snow that I'd never seen before.
Catching ashes on your tongue.
He was
Yeah.
he was a very chill young child.
Making
Yeah.
ash
Look at
angels.
this, the world's
Tastes
world's about to end. Neat.
Tastes like
kind of dirty.
pyroclastic rock. One other interesting fact about pyroclastic flow is that it can travel to speeds as great as 700 kilometers an hour and reach temperatures of about 1,000 degrees Celsius. You breathe in the super hot gas and your insides are vaporized.
Oh, marvelous.
That's how it works.
Now, here's the thing. Would the super hot gases vaporize your insides before it vaporized your outsides? You have any idea how?
I'm going to say both. It's all happening at the same time.
Yeah, it's skin blistering, lungs burning.
I think you're dead.
Yeah.
Just pretty darn quick, yeah.
Should we get into some of the history? Biggest death toll, Mount Tambora, Indonesia. This is in 1816. 92,000 people
Wow.
killed.
Wow.
Ejected more than 93 cubic miles of debris into the atmosphere.
Was it multiple communities, or was it like a single community that was completely overrun?
Well, it's Indonesia, so
Could have been a whole island.
Could have been, quite a bit. 1816 became known as the year without a summer because the effects were felt worldwide.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the volcanic ash in the atmosphere that just lowered the tempersures.
Wow.
For the entire
Right, it increases
Yeah.
the albedo of the Earth's
Ooh,
atmosphere.
you said albedo.
I know, it's one of my favorite words.
Wow.
Which,
Yeah, crop failures were common throughout Northern Europe and North America, and as many as 100,000 additional deaths from starvation in these areas because of the volcano.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a horrible human tragedy. I can't make a joke about that.
Okay, so let's talk about Mount Krakatoa, Indonesia. This is in 1883. Death toll 36,000. The column, which is what they call the big cloud going up into the air, 30 miles high.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing about this, I was actually watching on YouTube segments from a BBC special or a series or something that called, Krakatoa, The Last Days or something like that. And they kind of went through all the different facts of this volcano. The explosion, it actually exploded several times over the course of like 20 hours. The sound of the explosion was the loudest sound ever documented in recorded history.
Wow, how loud was it?
It was loud.
So
Louder
so
than we could
loud.
possibly get.
I think it was called Mount
Medium.
Krakatoa after the fact because it probably made that noise. Krakatoa!
Oh.
Was heard as far away as Australia, and this is from Indonesia, so, far enough. But here's another interesting fact
About Krakatoa?
about Krakatoa. The deaths were from the tsunami that it caused,
Right.
not from the rest of the, not from the pyroclastic flow.
Well,
for
it wasn't
example.
Krakatoa was the entire island basically exploded.
Yeah,
The island
two-thirds.
disappeared.
Yeah, 2/3 of the island was destroyed in the explosion.
It was like a Mount St. Helens times 1,000.
Yeah, but nobody was, as far as I know, nobody was living on the island of
It was an
Krakatoa.
uninhabited island that
was like-
pretty much exploded, and then
the
the
shock
wave sent a
Yeah.
An actual literal wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and about the explosion was about 13,000 times the nuclear yield of Little Boy in Hiroshima, and about 4 times the yield of the Tsar Bomba. Have you heard of Tsar Bomba?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, that's the massive nuke that Russia is working on. They want to have the biggest.
Well, it's the largest nuclear device ever detonated.
Yeah.
And Krakatoa was 4 times that amount.
Wow.
So 165 villages and towns were destroyed.
Many, many little communities
Yeah.
taken out.
Yeah. Anything to add?
Just like that. You're just going to work, riding in your canoe, going out fishing. La-da-da, what a day. Oh, my wife.
Krakatoa!
She's such a kablam! What was that? Whoosh. Tsunami, you're dead. That's it. All over.
Pompeii.
I'm fascinated by the whole... I haven't been to Pompeii yet, but I want to go. I'm fascinated by the whole frozen mid-action thing.
Yeah.
Before the...
Yeah, everyone's seen the pictures of, these people huddled underneath stairs
the
and
plaster
stuff like
casts
that.
that they've made of the
Yeah.
human-shaped spaces that were made in the ensuing ash and avalanche.
Yeah, the information I have was that Pompeii was buried under 60 feet of ash and pumice. But it was actually discovered in 1592, 1,600 years after its demise, because they just dug it up, right?
So it was the explosion was in 8 BC?
It was in 79 AD.
79 AD.
Does that math add up to you?
I
Do you
did.
need to get a calculator?
I'm slow on the math today, obviously.
But yeah, so the intense heat carbonized much of the organic
So
material
wait, so they didn't
in
build
the area.
dig it up till like 1,600 years later. Did nobody notice that it was gone? Did nobody? Did everybody kind of like, oh, there was a big explosion?
Well, there was-
was there a community here? I don't think so. I think it was just
Maybe they didn't care.
they all. I think those guys moved.
or just
I think
weren't
They saw the volcano and they just left.
yeah, no.
Or just weren't able to actually dig it up. I mean, we're talking about an ancient culture here. They're not
Or maybe they didn't care. They're like, they're buried. Why dig them up? Now we
yeah.
don't have to dig them up to bury them again.
Well, Pliny the Younger, we all know
Pliny the Elder.
Yeah, well, Pliny the Younger, he actually recorded his observation in 2 letters.
Oh yeah.
He was 18 miles west of the volcano.
I was about to say he wasn't in Pompeii itself.
No, he wasn't
then,
in
obviously.
Pompeii himself, but he described the earthquake, the eruption, the airfall, all this kind of stuff. And volcanologists, those people who enjoy Star Trek, use the term Plinian to refer to sustained explosive eruptions which generate high-altitude eruption columns and blanket large areas with ash.
Because of his observations.
Because he's like, I'm going to write this shit down.
Right, he's the first recorded observer, so they named it after him.
Yeah.
Just for spotting anything. I guess that's what explorers do too. It's like, hey, look at that. It's John Land.
That used to be what science was.
Yeah.
Right? That's all you... Like,
Just looking at things.
you look at what Darwin worked on. He just went around and looked at things and drew pictures and then went, oh, hey, check this out. Wait a minute. And then came up with conclusions.
Interesting.
You got to write it down first.
I have one thing to add for Mount St. Helens.
Oh, we're coming full circle.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Mount St. Helens again. Because in 1974, in Alaska, the residents of Sitka, this town, were shocked to find that there was black smoke coming from the volcano Mount Edgecombe.
What does that have to do with Mount St. Helens?
Well, I'll tell you. So people came out of their homes and were like, oh no, the volcano's going to blow up again, it's active. Turns out the local prankster, Porky Bicker,
Porky.
had flown hundreds of old tires into the volcano and lit them on fire in order to fool the town. So then...
was he, did he just say he's local prankster?
Yeah, local prankster. And that's,
Okay,
his,
wow.
that's how he's...
That is
That's
known.
brilliant.
certainly not how he's known now.
Yeah.
So anyway, when 6 years later, when Mount St. Helens erupted, somebody wrote to Bicker and said, "You've gone too far this time, Bicker."
Okay, that is a great callback. I congratulate you. I think you were just looking for an excuse to utter the phrase, "You've gone too far.
Gone too far this time, Bicker.
Now, do you guys know where one of the biggest, where the biggest volcano in North America is?
North America? No, I don't.
It might surprise you, actually, although maybe not once you hear it, because there is a lot of geological activity there. It's actually Yellowstone Park.
Or Jellystone
or
in the
Jellystone in
Yogi
Flintstone.
Bears.
Is it Yogi Bear?
It's Yogi Bear lives in
that's right.
Jellystone Park.
It's what's interesting about this. I went to last summer. Went to a Café Scientifique here in Vancouver, which is
That's French.
It is, but they spoke in English, thankfully. Café Scientifique is basically this. UBC gets speakers to come in on different subjects, and it's just a very informal lecture.
Does it actually happen at a
pub.
cafe? Oh, a pub.
It happens at a pub, yeah. So you can eat and drink and listen to a guy talk about whatever he's an expert on. And this guy was doing a presentation on supervolcanoes. And Yellowstone is a supervolcano, and the actual place where Yellowstone National Park is an enormous caldera, which is the remains of a massive
it's like a big crater.
Explosion.
It's one of the 6 types of volcanoes.
But what was really cool about this is that people didn't know that Yellowstone was a massive
a supervolcano
caldera until we had satellite imagery.
Oh.
And then a bunch of geologists were looking at the satellite imagery and went, hey, how come there's this like ridge of certain types of rock all the way around Yellowstone? That's kind of interesting. So they went in and investigated. And what happened is I don't know what the time is, but many millions of years ago exploded, left this huge caldera, which then filled in the sediment.
Right.
From, all the rivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like a crater anymore.
Right.
It's just got this little ridge around the edge of the harder rock, and then the softer dirt on top of it where everything else is grown, and where all the geysers are shooting up from, stuff like that.
Does anyone know where you cross the line from volcano to supervolcano?
Actually, the word supervolcano was not even official until about 2002. It wasn't actually used by volcanologists in any kind of scientific sense. And they're still now trying to figure out exactly what they mean when they say supervolcano.
I think it's when a volcano goes in a telephone booth and comes out with a cape on.
That's right.
That was a terrible joke. My apologies. I apologize to all the listeners out there.
Go, girl, go. It's too darn hot. It's too darn hot. I'd like to sup with my baby tonight. Refill the cup with my baby tonight.
Crazy, man.
I'd like to sup with my baby tonight. Refill the cup with my baby tonight. But I ain't up to my baby tonight, 'cause it's too darn hot. It's too darn hot. It's too darn hot. I'd like to coo with my baby tonight. And pitch the woo with my baby tonight. I'd like to coo with my baby tonight and pitch the woo with my baby tonight. But sister, you fight my baby tonight, 'cause it's too darn hot.
It's too darn hot.
According to the latest report, every average girl you know much prefers her lovey-dovey to court when the temperature is low. But when the thermometer goes way up and the weather is sizzling hot, Mr. Atom, for his matum, is not, 'cause it's too darn hot. It's too darn hot.
It's too
Darn hot.
In the news, April 2010, 25-year-old Swedish tourist Daniel Federson plunges to his death in Mount Batur in Bali. We suspect he was killed by the sharp rocks, said Police Chief Dwi Susino.
That was an uncanny impression. That was identical to that police chief.
He set off with his 2 pals on a pre-dawn hike. Oh, the ever-popular pre-dawn hikes along the rim of the volcano in Bali.
It seems to be a very popular thing to do. Why do people seem... Because I remember some story about some volcanologists who had a pre-dawn hike along the ridge of a volcano in order to study steam venting, and they ended up getting caught in an explosion and pelted by red-hot magma lava bombs.
Where and when?
It was,
it was 2000.
Oh, I was about to say
the
7 or 8 years ago.
2000?
I was about to say 7 or 8 years ago. I was off by...
Samara, which is the tallest mountain on Java.
Oh, Java.
And, he was normally... The one guy that I remember reading about was... he was actually a remote sensing specialist and normally would not be up there on the volcano, but had to go up there to fiddle with something.
And got caught in an explosion.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, see, but again, that started out as a pre-dawn hike along the rim of a volcano.
I know.
What do they ask for?
Yeah, well, do they not expect volcanoes? Do they figure volcanoes are late risers?
That's the most dangerous time.
I don't
pre-dawn.
like either of those words.
Pre-dawn? Or dawn?
No, pre-dawn or hike. Pre-dawn or
Yes.
hike. And combining them would just multiply the negativeness.
Yeah, and then throw in rim of the volcano, and you've got a pretty toxic brew.
Yeah, it took 8 hours to retrieve the man's body in...
Oh,
Bali.
they retrieved it. I'm
They
actually
retrieved it,
quite
yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, he
If-
didn't get like he didn't fall into a lab or anything. He just fell into a volcano and
Yeah, because if Hollywood has taught me anything, it's taught me that once you fall inside a volcano, you are vaporized. There's no recovering your body.
Also, very recent news. Have you guys heard of the Fimmvörðuháls volcano?
Wow, what kind of accent was that supposed to be?
It's supposed to
Is
be
it in Sweden?
Iceland.
Iceland.
I don't really know. I don't.
I had an
if Bjork-
Icelandic
if
roommate.
Bjork were here.
I had an
It sounds
Icelandic.
kind of weird.
I had an Icelandic roommate for 1 year, and he didn't sound anything like that.
Okay, well, in the I'll try. I won't do the accent, the Swedish accent for Iceland. This next word, Eyjafjallajökull Glacier is where this volcano is. Erupted very recently, March 21st. Some spots are open for sightseeing, despite the fact that there's reports of toxic gas coming from the volcano and bad weather.
Toxic gas and bad weather?
Yeah, but
Wow.
people are still paying like hundreds of dollars to go on tourist trips.
Toxic gas not so bad, but if it's going to rain on me, forget it.
Currently erupting volcano.
Well, there you go in the news. That's
I'll take exploding volcanoes for $500.
I guess pop culture. If Hollywood's taught us anything, it's that as soon as you fall into a volcano, you're instantly vaporized.
Well, I know that that's the only way you can destrow the One Ring.
Mount Doom.
Aside from that, I would say that what I've learned about volcanoes from Hollywood is that they're really boring.
Yeah.
Because there's that 1 year that it was at both Dante's Peak and Volcano came out,
Oh,
and they were both just
What a banner year for
terrible.
volcanoes. When you have Tommy Lee Jones and Pierce Brosnan going mono a volcano. I mean,
I
in
haven't
the
seen
same
either of
year.
those movies, I'm afraid to say.
Why is it that disaster movies all come in bunches?
They are.
It's a
They
boom
are.
bust cycle of doom and gloom.
It is. I think I think what it is there was probably a few years prior there was some kind of successful different disaster movie, and it was one of the few that made money. I don't know which one
Right.
it was. We
So
can look
all
it
the
up.
executives have
And then
their
they said,
meetings.
well, obviously disaster movies make us a lot of money, so let's do some. Well,
pump some up.
we can't do another plane crashing into a building. How about volcanoes?
And one guy buys a volcano script, and then the
Yeah.
other studio's like, they just bought a volcano script. Let's
Right.
buy a volcano script too.
Hollywood
So,
is
well,
messed up.
Tommy Lee Jones, as he was a fire chief or something like that. He wasn't
Yeah.
even a volcanologist, and a
And
volcano
Hesh was a
was
volcanologist.
erupting right in the middle of Los Angeles, if I remember correctly.
Is that right? The LA volcano is
That's
the
the
idea?
plot
Yeah.
of Volcanoes.
So was there lots of lava and...
Yeah.
flowing down the streets, and they
Right.
redirected it with a whole bunch of concrete slabs, and then poured water on it to make it solidify. It was really, really stupid.
Was there any pyroclastic flows?
I don't
No.
remember any.
I don't
just lava.
recall that. There was a pyroclastic
there any-
flow in Dante's Peak, though.
There was. Well,
They were in a-
give
they
me
were-
the... I haven't seen this one either, so you have to explain what the...
They were Linda Hamilton and Pierce Brosnan were in a truck driving away from a pyroclastic flow as it chased them down the
They have
mountainside.
to be going pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were driving across a bridge that was, about to fall into the river. It was very, very intense. In fact, I took the liberty of going to IMDb and finding their IMDb ratings.
Oh, okay.
Volcano had the oh so enviable 5.1 out of 10.
What would you rate it? How does that...
I think that's generous.
Okay.
Generous.
I go
5.1.
closer to 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dante's Peak was a marginally better 5.6 out of 10.
It was generally received better. Yeah, you'll see a lot of the reviews talk about either one because they came out at almost the same time as well.
Really, weeks apart.
And the
if I
one
recall.
thing Dante's Peak had going for it was most of the reviews of Volcano were this is really dumb and Dante's Peak is slightly better.
That should be on your poster, eh? Slightly better than that other movie.
That's right.
Watch us. Volcano was pretty bad. Dante's Peak was maybe Sunday afternoon in a rainy and on your couch. You might
Right.
be able to stand to watch it.
Now,
Fair enough.
one
Better
movie
than a
that-
TV movie. That's your catchphase. Better than a TV movie.
Yeah, I don't think they could say that about Volcano.
Because it's on a big screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
bigger than a TV.
Bigger than a TV movie.
Yeah, maybe not better. Maybe not better, just bigger.
You could watch something better at home, but our screen is huge. Anyway, a good
And we make the popcorn for you.
Oh, there.
yeah, at a
And we put
at
magma
a small
on it.
markup. 10 cents of popcorn for only $8.
Yeah.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh.
Now there's a pretty good movie.
Forgot
featuring
about Joe
Volcano.
versus the volcano.
I really liked it. It didn't actually end up doing well, but
This is Tom Hanks?
The Tom Hanks
Yeah.
and Meg Ryan movie, and it's kind of a romantic comedy, but kind of dark.
Very like Terry Gilliam-esque
Yeah.
in its setup.
I haven't watched. I only thought of it just before we started recording this, so I didn't have a chance to watch it before, and it's been a long time. But I do remember really, really enjoying it.
I'll tell you what I remember about Joe vs. Volcano. Tom Hanks had a mullet in Joe vs. Volcano. Terrible haircut.
Oh, I think he did, and I think it got cut. Didn't
Yes,
it?
he gets cut as soon
it.
as he decides he's going to throw himself into the volcano.
Right.
It's part of his transformative process.
That's right.
Okay, so what's the idea here?
He hates his life. He's
Right.
a worker drone in a terrible environment, bad lighting. The guy who played Carla's husband in Cheers is his boss, and it just he's beaten down as a minor cog in a larger wheel, and he's given the opportunity for a great sum of money that he can, spend however he sees fit if he throws himself in a volcano, because there's this Polynesian culture
Right.
that in order to satiate the volcano, they have to throw a human sacrifice in there,
yeah.
but they can't actually throw somebody in there. They need a volunteer to jump in.
Okay. So what is he going to do with the money?
Well, he goes to New York and buys all this nice clothes and lives life to the fullest in a very short leash, and he falls in love with Meg Ryan.
He thinks he only has 6 months to live.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't
I guess
understand
that's the plot twist that I forgot
that's right.
about.
He has all these psychosomatic symptoms.
Okay.
Right. So he
Headaches.
keeps going to doctors, headaches, and
Okay.
he feels terrible. It's really just that his life sucks.
Okay.
But he finally goes to a different doctor who tells him he has a brain cloud and he only has 6 months to live. So he's like, "Well, I'm going to spend the 6 months as enjoyable as I can."
Okay. So then he makes this deal
So he
with
makes this deal to throw himself
the
in the volcano
Polynesians?
because he's going to die anyway.
It's I forget the name of the tribe, but yeah, it's
how do
vaguely Polynesian.
how do they connect? Does he see like an ad in the paper or something, or?
I don't recall how they connect.
Can't remember either. We're gonna
He's
have to watch
approached.
it. It was a good movie.
He's
and I
he's
haven't seen it in a long
approached.
time.
Let's just put it that way. He's
Okay,
approached.
Sure.
And Meg Ryan plays like 3 or 4 different roles in the same
Sisters
movie
or something.
Yeah, she's like she's got a red wig on, and then she has her blonde hair, and she's got a dark wig on. Yeah,
And this
plays
is
3 or
Meg
4
Ryan
different
at
characters.
the height of her adorableness.
Yes,
as well.
no, absolutely. It
Such a
These
crush
are the
on her.
halcyon days.
yeah, oh
Meg
yeah.
Ryan.
It's post When Harry Met Sally, but pre You've Got Mail. So it's the wheelhouse.
Those are the years of she's doing that smile again. Look at
She's
her.
as cute as a button. A horrible disfigured troll now. In 2010. In 2010, but
Listen. Okay.
but cute as a button in Joe vs. the Volcano.
I can't argue that she can stand up to what she was, but I mean, she's just aged. That's what happens when you get older.
It's
I
nature.
still think she's great.
No,
beautiful,
it's nothing to do
beautiful
with it's nothing to do with the
woman and a
aging.
nice.
It's the non-stop plastic surgery.
Oh.
Meg, don't listen to him. You're welcome on this podcast anytime.
To talk about Joe versus.
I invite Meg Ryan to come on the podcast and refute everything that I've just said. I think
I'll be here.
She should come and debate me.
She'll do that by we'll compare her beauty to yours.
Exactly.
Speaking of trolls,
My mother tells me I'm beautiful on the inside, and nobody can tell me different.
Now I'm trying to remember in Star Wars Darth Vader's origin. This is let's
right.
think back to the original trilogy.
Yeah,
And what we
Return of the-
knew
oh,
about Darth Vader's origin, he's supposed to have fallen into a pit of lava.
Well, this was never said in the movies. It was only
Right.
in the novelizations.
Okay.
That they mentioned that he was horribly disfigured from falling into a lava. And I don't even know if it was spoken, but everybody thought it was because of a duel between Obi-Wan
Right.
and
Which, of course,
young
is-
Skywalker, which
that's
is what happens in
precisely
Revenge
what's
of the
happening in
Sith.
Revenge of
But
the
it's
Sith.
not it's not really a volcano so much as a volcano planet.
Yes, absolutely. It's flowing lava. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they were jumping from rock to rock, right?
Which is
I actually
ridiculous.
felt that
Yeah.
was the one part of that movie that was fairly well done and fairly right to the whole Star Wars genre.
I
They
thought Revenge
screwed
of the
up almost
Sith.
everything else.
I thought Revenge of the Sith was certainly the strongest of the prequels.
Oh, absolutely.
Except for no. Who does that? Nobody does that. Nobody makes
do
words.
fear
Joe,
movie.
I don't know what you're talking about. I did it just the other day.
We're out of toilet paper. No. Judge Judy is a repeat. No.
It was the Judge Judy thing. You nailed it.
But what about this Doctor Who episode that you've seen?
The Fires of Pompeii. It's a Dr. Donna episode. Where,
I don't know what that means.
Donna Noble was the companion at the time, and they had this big storyline, the Dr. Donna, going on, and then revealed at the end. I won't spoil it for anybody who decides to catch up on Doctor Who, and you should. Although I don't think it's all that good an episode.
It's a David Tennant episode?
It is a David Tennant episode.
So it's one of the modern ones?
Yeah, modern one. It was first broadcast in, I'm going to say 2008. Series 4 is what they're calling it, which means the 4th season of the new Doctor Who's.
Oh, right.
I'm definitely going to lose some nerd cred here, but I don't know anything about Doctor Who.
Well, that's why Joe's here.
I can count on one hand the number of minutes of Doctor Who that I've watched in the course of my life.
We're going to have to remedy that. Doctor Who is some fine science fiction.
I look askance nervously.
I just remember watching like the very first season with William Hartnell, like at 2 o'clock in the morning on CBC, and writing down notes. Oh, this is an interesting story. Acting and everything else, production values are shit.
Right.
But I was taking notes like, I could turn this into a role-playing game.
I guarantee that is exactly what turned me off of Doctor Who right from the get-go. Was the production values from the early series were so terrible. It was distracting. And
right. You're looking at it's a BBC production, and the BBC is not really a for-profit enterprise. It's a government institution.
Much like the CBC here in Canada.
Which is, and I will also say, everything on CBC is not very good.
No, absolutely.
Or at least the production values.
Yeah.
I mean, Kids in the Hall, CBC, right?
Yeah, fantastic television show. And maybe
that's
more,
a little harsh there.
But I'm not being convinced by that chicken lady outfit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but maybe the Kids in the Hall were more fantastic because of the low production value.
And I would say that Doctor Who has a lot of charm because of its silly rubber monsters. And
were there rubber monsters in this Pompeii episode, or what was?
They were giant volcanic golem type creatures, and they were
magma golems.
They were attempting to turn humans into their kind in order to take over the world.
I'm trying to think of a like a TV show or something that had like magma monsters that wasn't an episode of Super Friends. Anyone?
Wow, magma monsters, but not Super Friends.
I cannot think of it.
There was an episode
Rock Lords were pretty much that, weren't they?
Rock Lords from the GoBot series?
I don't know, but I know you guys had a song about it.
Yeah, we do have Rock Lords, the song. And then there was an episode of Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot cartoon that also had to do with Volcano.
Oh, there you go.
Ever seen any of those?
Okay.
Not a heavy topic in pop culture.
Well, I think Joe prefaced it right off the top that volcanoes are kind of boring.
Like it's either the build-up, which can be scary, and then boom, and then horribleness. But really, you can't get kind of any extended threat from a volcano, right? Like unless you're outrunning lava.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain.
That's boring. Outrunning lava is
which
boring.
is why you need the magma monsters.
I mean, I guess we can comment. 2012.
I was just going to mention.
In 2012, volcanoes played a major factor. There was that whole sequence in the national park.
Exploded.
In the national park where this volcano pushed up out of the earth and started raining down giant flaming rocks on their as they fled in the world's fastest motorhome.
So there's no
most fastest and most agile motorhome ever
I'm waiting
recorded.
for the riff tracks before I watch 2012. I haven't watched it.
Who's the guy? Who's that guy? That actor?
Wow, I don't even know what that is.
No, I know what you're talking about because we used to do that all the time.
Wow, for that...
Damn dirty apes.
Charlton Heston?
Isn't there a Charlton Heston movie that he fights a volcano? That seems like he's the perfect actor to be
He would. I mean, he does
movie.
fight planets all the time, right? He goes up, he's up against God and,
Planet of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. He'll take a planet on. He's not scared.
Planet of the National Rifle
From his cold dead hands. I don't know anything that Charlton
Because
Heston...
he's been in a bunch of disaster movies, though, hasn't he?
He's been in a little bit of everything.
Towering Inferno or something like that? Was he in that?
It's not a volcano. That's a burning building.
I'm just saying, like, he would, if there was a volcano movie from the 70s, he would be the main guy.
He would probably... I would have to concur.
That's in an alternate
universe,
though.
In Earthquake.
Earthquake.
Okay.
Close, but no lava bombs.
So next episode, we will visit the weird and wonderful world of cannibalism.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us on Caustic Soda, the podcast. Hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next week. Krakatoa!
Plus the volcano! Quick, duck and cover!
Email us at info@causticsodapodcast.com.